G'day, I'm Andrew Jefferies, the Chief Executive of Echelon, and I'm very happy to present here at the ASX Gems conference. Here's some important words. You can read these at your leisure. I suggest a cheeky download from our website if that's your sort of thing. So Echelon, we're not new to industry. For over 40 years, we've been known as New Zealand Oil and Gas. The company's been active all that time in the search for and production of hydrocarbons. My management team has over 170 years of experience in the game, and our board has even more. However, we're diversifying away from New Zealand, and the change of name reflects that. It resonates with me in three different ways: the rocks, the values, and the role. Let's look at the rocks. Echelon speaks to science. It's a geological term. It's non-jurisdictional, which also reflects how our asset base has grown. Our assets now spread over several countries, as you can see in the graphic. Not just New Zealand, but also Indonesia, and recently in a big way, Australia. The bulk of our gas production and the overall reserves are in the Amadeus Basin. This runs west from Alice Springs, right in the centre of Australia. And there we own nearly 50% of the three producing fields. And recently, we upped our stake in the largest of those producing fields, Mereenie. In the Northern Territory, the market is undersupplied and it's very strong. This is evidenced by the long-term contracts we've signed with minor paraffin rare earths and with the Northern Territory government. Our oil production is dominated by our 50% share of Q Energy, which is also ASX listed, and their share in the Mahato oil field in Sumatra, Indonesia. Now that's got over 20 wells already in place, and it's continuing to be drilled out with about another 10 to come. Let's look at our values. We are a values-driven company, and Echelon refers to the quality of that offering. We have a laser-like focus on strategy, that is getting the most out of our assets, doing business in markets with opportunity, where we can get attractive financial returns and in a way that fits our balance sheet. We have a group of 20 geoscientists, engineers, finance folks, and a lawyer. The picture here at the bottom is of our office. It's neat, it's tidy, it's functional. The picture up above is my view from the office. This is of the Harvey Norman smoking area. Now that is not my favourite view because I smoke. I absolutely love that view because to me, that symbolises what we do and where we spend our money. We spend our money on skills, tools, and activities, the resources that matter. We don't spend the money on my view. So then looking at the roles, Echelon in French means the rung on the ladder. The key to this slide is that energy is the rung that bears the weight of nothing less than civilization. That sounds a bit grandiose, but it's true. Energy touches everything we do in the modern world. At Echelon, we believe that the path through the transition is going to be lit by gas. Gas will continue to provide fast, reliable startup to back up renewables, as we do in Alice Springs, our Dingo gas field. It'll provide the fertiliser that puts more than 30% of the world's food on the table. It'll provide the high-quality heat required for processing the ores to build the machines that are going to change the world. And it will continue to provide a cleaner alternative to coal, charcoal, wood and animal dung for cooking our food, from Bruce's buffalo in Daily Waters to burn his braai in the hut. So let's come to the performance. So how have we done lately? This is some highlights from our financial year, the results of which we've just released. The key to me, we are a profitable producer. Our underlying profit has improved. Now that was tempered by a well that didn't work out at the Kupe gas field in New Zealand and had to be written down. It's painful. It's the industry we're in. But where we landed shows that our business is resilient through its portfolio of assets. So we still made money. And where possible, it allowed us to pass on some dividends to shareholders. So last year's dividends totaled 4.5 cents. Now that is something like a 12% return, depending on the share price of the day. We don't let our shareholders' money sit around. We also bought more of an asset we really like. As I mentioned before, we bought more of Mereenie in the Amadeus. Now, the vendor provided us the finance for that on acceptable terms. And we're about to go out and drill some more wells and take advantage of that asset. I'll come to that shortly. Finally, we signed 2 long-term gas sales agreements with excellent counterparties in a market that needs the gas. And these are going to underwrite our activity over the next 6 years, as well as help pay down that loan. So I've talked a bit about where our growth focus is and the fact we're growing. Well, this is what growing in the Amadeus looks like. These green parts of the columns are the Amadeus fields. And it's growing. So let's look a little bit into the strategy behind that growth. So this graphic is courtesy of the Australian government. And let's have a look at a couple of things. The first thing to notice is Northern Territory is 83% gas. It's a growing market for gas. It's a great place for solar, and that'll happen. But it'll need backing up, just as we back up Alice Springs, which is 43% solar with our Dingo gas field. The gas in the Amadeus is conventional. It's not needing to be fracked. It's relatively shallow. It's easy to access. We have plants there with available capacity, pipelines into the Northern Territory and East Coast gas markets. We like it a lot. The next thing on this graphic to look at is the highlighted section is South Australia. It's a standout performer in Australia when it comes to renewables. 44% wind, 30% solar for a total of 74. So what does that look like in terms of gas? Well, if we look at their first 100% renewable day, it is a bit of a gas sandwich. A lot of gas in the morning, a lot of gas in the evening. They got to 100% renewable during the day with solar. So what does that say? It says we are not competing with renewables. We are complementing. That's why Echelon is focusing on gas. That's why I always say gas is a 3-letter word for transition. Let's look at our future activities. So that brings us to our forward plans. We're doing a couple of wells in Mereenie, and we're going to be using underbalance drilling to keep the fluids out of those old and touchy rocks. This is a key finding of a scientific study the joint venture undertook over the last couple of years, and we're working hard to optimise around that. If we can get the special source right on Mereenie, then there will be more targets there. We're also planning wells for Palm Valley in the Amadeus, more tricky rocks that our geoscientists have been working hard to understand. In this case, there's a natural fracture system, which greatly enhances the production, provided you can hit it. In fact, Palm Valley recorded the largest well test ever in onshore Australia a few decades ago of 137 million standard cubic feet a day. That is the equivalent of 75,000 cars, petrol tanks of fuel. That was a well called PV6A, and it was at original reservoir pressure pre-startup of the field. So we won't be looking for that sort of rate. However, our last couple of wells in Palm Valley have been really solid producers. So we'd love a couple more of those. In both these cases, it is simply a matter of drilling the well, hooking them up and selling. We've got capacity in the plant, we've got capacity in the pipeline, we've got capacity in the market. So it's pretty good business. This view graph has a bunch of other activity on its way, as well as the Because well in Perth Basin, which is targeting an oil prospect. So quite a lot of exciting activity to come. So look, wrapping up, here's some wise words by a wise fella I know. You can read this quicker than I can. What I would say is we've been building with a focus something that's needed and doing it profitably. And that's what we do at Echelon.